On day 16, we'll leave Billings and drive the Beartooth Highway into Yellowstone, enter the northeast entrance, and visit the Lamar Valley. We'll drive along the Blacktail Plateau Drive through Fort Yellowstone and Mammoth Springs before visiting Norris Geyser Basin. And then we'll head over to West Yellowstone to spend the night at the Branding Iron Inn. We'll eat breakfast at McDonald's, and then we'll head down the road. As we drive along, some turkeys cross the road in front of us. And as usual in Montana, there's more road construction going on. We pass through Red Lodge and hit the eastern end of the Beartooth Highway and head up it. This highway will cross the Beartooth Mountains and will lead us directly into the northeastern entrance to Yellowstone. Let's sit back and just watch the journey. There's still snow left over from last winter, and this is September, remember. Near the peak, we're leaving Montana and heading into Wyoming. And that little stone right over there in the center is the Beartooth, and that's what the road and mountains are named after. We finally hit the peak about 2 miles high.
I think we keep passing each other.
Now we come to the western end of the Beartooth Highway at Cook City. Cook City, Montana. This must be another one of those entranceways. Ooh, bear. I see a bear. Right there, bear.
I want to see a live bear.
On down the road, we come back into Montana at Silver Gate just before we enter Yellowstone National Park. Not too far down, we come to Yellowstone National Park's entrance. This is the northeastern entrance. Yellowstone is at the northwest corner of Wyoming, and it's really a gigantic volcano that sits here with a magma chamber right underneath it. The magma chamber covers what's in the red area, and here you can see the many geyser basins that are here. We're going to be looking at the northeastern section, and this is the route we'll be taking today. Through it. This time we'll be entering through the northeast corner. If you'll remember, we came through the northwestern end the other day to see Mammoth Hot Springs. And since it's about noon, we pull off the Warm Creek picnic area where we'll eat a picnic lunch. Then off we go exploring the Yellowstone National Park. Our first wildlife inside the park is a mountain goat sighted, as you can see here on the cliff. And this is what a mountain goat looks like since those are so far off. And then onward we go still. This is Soda Butte Creek, and we'll be driving along it for a while. Next we enter the Lamar Valley. Some call it the Serengeti of the America, with its huge herds of animals. Here we'll be stopping to see our first bison as we look across the valley and see the bison as they come down out of the hills. As you can see from this panning video, there are thousands of them in the valley. Here's a bull bison with his harem as they choose their cut. This male pronghorn was walking along through the valley also. Now we're leaving the Lamar Valley. We'll be back here tomorrow on a wildlife tour in the afternoon and heading up into some more of the mountains. When you see this many cars parked, there's got to be something, and it's a black bear, although this one is actually the brown face color, and he's walking down the hill towards us. I had to move several times as he came down because the ranger kept shooing us away, and Deborah jumped in the car and locked the car doors on me. After the bear gets across the road, we head on down further, and we take Blacktail Plateau Drive. It's a gravel road, and we go through here looking for wildlife also, although we don't see any. But it's beautiful countryside. Now back on the main highway, we continue to head west. Along the way, we have another bison stop. This one almost runs into the side of our car and then stops in front of us and makes us go around him. On down the road, we come to another bison jam, this time a long line of cars looking at a herd of bison. Next we come to Undine Falls and go over and look at it for a few minutes. As we continue to drive along, we come to a view of Mammoth Hot Springs from a distance. Here you can see a good overview picture of it. And then we're driving through Fort Yellowstone. We're not going to be stopping since we were here just the other day, but there's a road that's closed, and when we wonder why, we look and there's elk down there, and they don't want anybody getting close to them. So they just close off the area and you can't go down there, and a ranger watches to make sure everything's kept kosher. And then we drive past Mammoth Hot Springs and continue to head south now. The one we stayed in Grand Canyon.
Well, let's think it more like me.
We stopped for a few minutes at Bunsen Peak. 8,564 feet, a mile and a half above sea level. And we come to some more road construction that slows us down before coming to Roaring Mountain and its steam vents, letting off steam and roaring in the distance. Now we look over Norris Geyser Basin. We'll be down there in just a few minutes. And then we're pulling into the Norris Geyser Basin, parking and looking for a parking place. It takes us a while. Need to be careful. Steamboat Geyser may erupt and cause damage to our vehicle, but it probably won't this year. And this is an overview of what Norris Geyser Basin looks like and its hot water feature. This is a rapidly changing area, and it has two areas, the Back Basin and Porcelain Basin. We're going to be taking the Porcelain Basin Trail and looking out as we go along its boardwalks. Norris Geyser Basin is the hottest, oldest, and most acidic section in the park, and it's along two major fault lines that come together right here. Remember that 85% of all geological thermal features in the world are here in Yellowstone. Our trail starts not too far from the Ledge Geyser, a steam vent that blows out steam and you can hear it roar. These steam vents are called fumaroles. Besides the fumaroles, the steam vents, we'll also be seeing pools here, or springs, where the water doesn't shoot out, but simply just constantly bubbles to the surface. Melodious pools have suspended particles in it that keep it its milky color, and even some of it settles to the surface because of the bubbling air. And this is hurricane vent. And here's Porcelain Springs. As you can see, it's water bubbling up constantly and filling the spring here with extremely hot water. Here we look again back at Ledge Geyser we just passed, and Black Growler steam vent to the right. One of the fascinating things is Whirligig Geyser. This, you can see many different colored things here, and as you can see from this chart, the bacteria live in the 122 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and the algae, as we see here, is the 100 to 133 degrees Fahrenheit. They are phototropes, and the bacteria are chemotropes. They get their energy from the iron in the water, and that's why they're a rust color. Spluterpot Geyser doesn't really shoot very high, it just sputters along. The Whale's Mouth is another pool that you can see sticks. This is about 7 feet deep here, and you can still see down in the water, it's so clear. The Norris River is a waterway that leads out from the hot water structures here and cools as it goes. As you can see, it's almost crystal clear, but it is highly acidic. Crackling Lake has its own spring that bubbles constantly up and feeds it, with a water similar to what happens at Mammoth Hot Springs. And here we have another thermal feature, a mud pot. We'll talk about them later. Now we leave Norris Geyser Basin and its thermal features behind, and we head out along the Gibbon River, heading south toward Madison Junction. Soon we come to Beryl Springs, and we're going to stop there a few minutes and look at this thermal feature also. You can hear by its roar, it's a steam vent or fumarole, and also a spring. As we continue to head south, we come into a traffic jam. We're never really totally sure why we have this traffic jam, but it'll last for hours and miles. But we'll get to see some of the countryside as we sit around and look, like these fishermen on the Gibbon River. As we continue on around past Madison Junction, we come to the Madison River, and we head west toward West Yellowstone along the Madison River. Along the way, Alan sees a moose coming out of the water. They're very rare here. Maybe this is why there's been such a big traffic jam. And then we head on out the west entrance of Yellowstone into West Yellowstone, and we stay at the Brandon Iron Inn on the second floor, no elevators, and we'll stay a couple of days here, and this ends day 16.